All right, so we don't usually do this, but we're doing it this week because all the news is centered around this small game that came out called Starfield by Bethesda and Xbox Studios or whatever they're called. Ed has gotten the most time in because he started back on the 31st or 1st, whenever it dropped for him. And I called him the other day and I was like, how is it? And
with that intensity? Please tell me it was with that intensity.
It really actually was. I wanted to hear so badly because I couldn't make it to Ed's streams for whatever reason. For those that don't know, Ed streams every day during the week in the middle of the day. So if you're having your lunch,
that's right.
Just know Ed's streaming.
That's right.
Just know it's right around that time. If you're eating lunch and you're like, oh man, I'm just sitting here and not doing too much. I don't have anybody to call. Go to twitch.tv/Ed Placencia because Ed is streaming.
That's right.
So Ed started streaming Starfield, then was even playing it offline all the weekends. And that's when I called him. I called him first on Saturday to hear how the game was. Unbeknownst to me, he was doing a super special secret Saturday stream. And so I was like, well, what the heck is this about? And he's playing Starfield. So for his super secret Saturday stream playing Starfield, I had to wait till he was done. And then he called me back. I missed the phone call, had to call him back and find out all the things about Starfield. So Ed, please kick us off here in the news segment on how is Starfield.
I was hesitant going in. From the first time I saw anything about it, I was like, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's on Game Pass. I'll give it a shot. When we had that extended, like 45-minute deep dive into it after the Xbox presser recently, then I was like, oh, okay, all right. I didn't, it's Bethesda. I didn't click with any of the Fallout games. I didn't click with Elder Scrolls. And they went on and on about you can make your own ship, you can design your ship, you can design your bunker, you can upgrade your bunker. And I don't like doing any of that.
I'm with you.
So I was a little like, I don't know. It kind of looks like No Man's Sky, but with building or something. I'm not sure. And in the very beginning, it's very reminiscent of No Man's Sky.
Okay.
For 5 minutes. And then you go on to something else. And then as you go on and go on and go on, I realize what they've done is they made whatever game you want to play.
What?
Okay.
If you want to build ships and make, what's really fun is I watch other streamers who play this game that are playing it totally different. They're all about the shipbuilding. So their ships are maneuverable and zip, and they go around and they can take out other ships really quickly. It's really cool to see what they've done with this. I haven't touched shipbuilding, and I haven't been punished for it.
I love that. I love that.
There you go. That's the underline, italicized quote.
Highlight that right there.
I haven't,
because that's important to know. I mean, that's just sorry to interrupt, but that's just such an important detail.
Yes.
That there's something in the game that you can dive into and do that deep, or not, and still enjoy it just fine. It's not like, oh well, now you can't XYZ. You know what I'm saying?
So if you want to get in your ship and fly around and explore space and maybe get into some skirmishes and battles, you can 100% do that. If you're like me and you want to say, I want to go to that planet, fast travel there, boom, I'm there, you can do that. There's much like No Man's Sky, there's mining. When you go to different planets, you can mine for resources and ore that will help you build things that are better and craft better guns and what have you. Or you can be like me and not do any of that, and just when you're fighting people and or scavenging around, you just find better guns or you find better suits.
Can you loot the people too?
You can loot the people.
Awesome.
You can earn credits a ton. They're very generous with credits, and you can just go buy stuff.
I like that.
They have genuinely made whatever game you want to play. That's the game you play.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
If you don't want to mine an ore, you don't have to. If you don't want to build your ship, you don't have to. If you don't want to collect resources to build a base, you don't have to. You can just do what I've been doing and run around, collect side missions. Hey, go get this bounty. All right. Do you want to join our team? Yeah, I'd love to join your team. hey, do you want to join our team? I'd love to join your team too. I'm joining every team they offer to me, and I hope it doesn't come back and bite me. But I just, oh hey, there's a bank robbery going on. You want to go try to get the bank robbers? I sure do. I'll go in there and do that. This game is so much fun, and it's so huge.
Yeah.
There's question.
Yes.
So would you say it's like Red Dead in space?
It's
less linear, clearly.
It's not linear at all.
Yeah.
And Red Dead's a little linear?
Red Dead's a little more linear. I mean,
you can choose.
It just sounds like you could do so much.
You can do so much, but in this case, it's a little bit different because you can collect a side mission, and 2.5 hours later, you think, I think this is almost done. Like, these side missions are massive. Some of them are just little fetch quests. Go here, get this. You got that. Now go here, get this. You got that. Some of them are like that. Some of them, you just don't know what to expect. You can run around and just tear through the city, but if you walk through the city, you'll overhear a conversation and think you've got a new side mission because you overheard what that guy said. You didn't even have to talk to him. And just by being in the world and exploring, there is so much in this game. And it's just, there are no spoilers watching other people stream it because this thing is so massive. People are doing things I've never seen. People are streaming 30 hours into this game, and they're just doing something I did in my second hour. It's incredible what they've done with this game. I'm loving it so much. And yeah, it got to the point where as soon as I finished streaming Friday night, I quit, immediately started a different save file, and started all over again from the beginning. And this is my offline game, and they are two totally different games and experiences I'm having.
Really? Mm-hmm. Did you go with, can I ask you what is, so one of the things when you're building your person, and actually this is going to be in the question of the week, but you can pick your background.
Yes.
Like who you kind of almost like were in another life, or what you had kind of done before you're doing the job that you're doing in the game. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who you went with?
I think I went with, I don't offhand. Darn, I don't remember what I chose. It doesn't make a huge difference.
Right.
So
it's
far,
just like I went with a bouncer. My guy is a bouncer.
Yeah,
he was a bouncer. And so like when you're making your person and you kind of come out of it, she's like, "Oh yeah, so you were a bouncer in a previous life." I just thought it was interesting that they just even said
you gotta have a collar on.
Yeah,
you gotta have shoes.
I might have gone with the street.
Ladies, y'all can get in.
You went with Street Rat?
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, it's. Man, it's just it's so much fun, and I was telling Gabe, I didn't want to spoil it in case he stumbled upon it. I stumbled upon it fairly early, but all of a sudden I found this area where the combat was totally different from anything I'd experienced in the game, and all of a sudden you're doing something way different, and the combat feels nice, and the guns are fun, and it's It is the game you want it to be. Whatever game you want to play, that's how you play it. Go play that game.
Is this a serious Game of the Year contender for you this year? You feel?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a great surprise from a company that like you don't play their games.
Yeah, and it's funny too because there are moments where I'm like, this is very Fallout-ish, this thing here, or but I'm just, and I think what it is it doesn't force me to do any of the stuff I'm not really into. I don't have to do this or that. It's been a ton of fun. My biggest tip to you would be watch how much stuff you pick up, because being over encumbered is a very real thing in the game.
Oh, okay. That's kind of like Elden Ring. Remember that, Tim? You can't, like, if your shield and sword and everything is too heavy, all of a sudden it's like, I can't dodge roll.
Not moving so well. Yeah.
Okay.
There are a couple. If you go on YouTube and look up like 10 things you should know going in, or 10 things that the game doesn't teach you but you would want to know about, find those videos. They will definitely help you out. There's some really good tips in there.
And you're saying it's hard for the game to be spoily because there's so much different things you can probably get into.
Yeah.
And so watching those videos might not be too. And maybe you can tweet out one of those videos that's like safe for people that might be a little on edge.
And none of them are spoilery. It's just basically like, oh, did you know if you do this, you can change your weapons out quicker? Or did you know that you can store things on your ship? Or, things like that you wouldn't necessarily think about.
So are you finding anything as you're progressing through the game? Because I've done this too with something like you're expecting, I think I'm going to really enjoy this. And then something else comes along and now you're like deep dive into that. And that's all you want to do. For like you already said the example, for some people it's building ships. I'm with you. Give me the default and I just want to go, go, go. The mining, that sounds interesting because if I can get more resources and I can upgrade my guns and that kind of stuff. If it helps me, then I'm going to be more into it. Are you finding other things like, I think bounties are so much more fun than this? Or is there something that you were completely surprised by that now you're just super aggro to go in and keep doing?
Nothing really specific, just because every time I'm in the middle of doing something else pops up and it's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, I want to do that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so I'm just, my mission list is just a mile long because I've got all these things I've accepted that I just have a little to-do list. What do I do? Oh, here's like 18 things I can choose from.
Oh, I love that. Okay, cool.
That's crazy. It sounds like they're majorly. I wish I remembered what that rule was called. We talked about it with The Witcher 3 about how you could only walk so many steps without something grabbing your attention or something giving you an opportunity to do something else.
Yeah.
I have such a terrible memory. I can't remember what it was, but we talked about it on the show. But it sounds like this is that on overload. Like you can just at all times be getting into something.
It's crazy because you'll go, go fight these bandits, and it's your standard. Oh, there's bandits in this base. You're going through the base, hiding and shooting and what have you. And then there are moments of go do this thing. Okay. And the tension all of a sudden, because it is something you don't expect it to be. And okay, you got to do this. And the atmospheric, the sounds they've put in are just, there are moments that reminds me of, I saw a behind the scenes on that horror film Paranormal Activity. And they said one of the things they did to make it so creepy that was very subtle was there's a hum throughout the entire film that's really low.
Wow.
And it just kind of gives you an unsettling feeling. And sometimes you'll land on a planet and it's really quiet and you're like, oh, this is weird. And sometimes they land on a planet and there's that hum and you're like, okay, this isn't right. Something is going on here. I love it. So good.
I love it too. Good, buddy.
Wow.
So
the music
is
it's just really, really, really well done.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
It's funny because one of the things that I hated about the pre-look that we got at it was the footstep sounds. I don't know if you guys remember me complaining about it, but it felt like clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. I was like, goodness gracious. And then that's one of the things I actually hated about Cyberpunk as well, 2077.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like you're walking like clack, 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 and then you're running like clack, 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 and you're like, oh gosh, like I hate this. But like playing it today for the small amount of time I did, I was like, they changed that. Like they dialed that in, and it didn't sound like, well, it just didn't, it sounded like they, finally clicked on the button that was like, pay attention to the ground you're walking on. Because the first look we got, it looked like he was at the top of like this grassy hill and him walking was like, clip, clop, clip, clop. Like, you're on grass. Like, it should be, that's funny. Chris, I just opened my email and I had a forward like, come see the Unsung Heroes screening. So I was like,
really?
I might need to do that. Chris said it's good. It's going to be weird because anyway, that's awesome, Ed. I love that so much.
I'm really happy. So definitely give it a shot. Check it out. Yes, Gabe.
I do have one more question. How is the language?
You know what? The language, it's really weird because when I put Starfield as the category in Twitch, it automatically sets the channel to mature audiences only.
Right.
Which surprises me because...
Yes, because it felt like there was light swearing. I heard, but I hadn't heard anything rough yet that I'd be like, whoa, like at all.
Yeah, and even the light swearing seems very minimal.
That's great.
And so it's all I can assume. You're shooting people or
right,
aliens or whatever. It is not what I thought the language would be worse. To be honest with you,
and I only brought it up because I feel like it could be one of those safer games that's on top of mainstream. Like, every now and then we get these huge behemoth games that come out, but like you can't really tell a 14-year-old to go play it, or you feel like, like that man's gonna be a lot of language in this. But it felt really light to me, no more than what was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me so far. That cartoon that I took my 8-year-old to, and I was like, and with it not being co-op at all, it's not like you're going to then accidentally hear other people saying things either.
Right.
And so it might be like a safe time for people that might be, offended by that, or, want to know what their kids are playing, and things like that. So that's good to hear.
I didn't realize it wasn't co-op. And even when you're choosing your character, there are some traits that say, oh, you do this better when you're alone, but you do this better when you're with a group or a squad. And so I thought, so that's for when I'm playing co-op, but there is no co-op. It's just that sometimes you have the choice of an option of having a companion with you or not.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow, man.
Well, I love it, man. I'm excited to dive into it. I don't know what I'm going to do about Final Fantasy because I do like it and I do want to finish that story off, but I want to be a part of the thing. I like being a part of the thing as it's going, and this is definitely something that's churning right now, and I love that.
This is definitely going to be a water cooler game of, okay, Gabe, did you go here? Sean Capri
really
did a thing where he said, did you do, and he said the name of the mission. Did you do that mission yet? And I said, oh, I've got it in my list. He's like, hey, do that mission. Like, all right.
Oh,
and I did it. I was like,
yeah.
oh, Sean Capri, let me, so it's very much a thing of, there's like little code words you can say, like, did you find, I'm going to say, my hint to you is casino. And no, I didn't find, okay. I was, well, you'll know when you do, or, oh, I found that, things like that. So
that's incredible.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
I have a semi-sad story about Starfield. I was over at Toby's house last night talking production for the tour we're doing in November with Zach Williams and Mercy Me. And I was talking to his son Moses, who's a huge gamer. He's a huge Overwatch guy. I think he's in like is it Grandmaster? Class?
Wow. Yeah.
So he's like way up there, really good at Overwatch. And I walked in there. I was like, Moses, how you doing? He's like, good, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what you into? He was like, man, I just bought Starfield. And I was like, really? He was like, yes. He was like, but of course it's locked up. I can't play it till tomorrow, the 6th. And I was like, oh man. I was like, that's so crazy. I would have just thought you were a Game Pass guy and could have got it. He goes, oh. And I said, what? He was like, I do have Game Pass. I was like, you could have been playing it all day. He was like, I know, and now I wasted $60.
Oh my god!
I was like, well, maybe you can get a refund, and he was like, okay, I'll look into that. And so I'm in the kitchen talking to Toby, and in wheels Moses in a wheelchair, and in wheels Moses, and he comes around the aisle and he goes, I can't get a refund. And I was like, no. I was like, well, put it on Facebook Marketplace or something for another dodo that doesn't know that that's not on Game Pass.
You gotta learn, man. You don't buy Microsoft Studio games.
I just don't know if he was even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like he's like,
I know, but
you know
I know. Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't. He probably got it on Steam or whatever.
But what I'm saying is, like, like people like us, we've discussed all the time that Bethesda is bought by Microsoft. But like, maybe if you're just like Moses and you're like, oh, it's a new Bethesda game. Like he's not even thinking that it's, man. It wasn't till I said it that he was like, oh shoot, it is on Game Pass. I was like, I'm so sorry, buddy.
I did want to share one thing about the game that I found quite early on, and it seems a lot of people have. It's not a spoiler by any means, but it's a note that you can pick up and read.
Okay.
And the note says, to all my friends and fellow explorers, I'm always with you out there in the Starfield. Love always, Alex Hay. And I was like, that just hit me. I'm like, there's something behind that. Is that a dev? Who is? And
I was about to say, who's Alex Hay?
Apparently, Alex Hay was someone who was really looking forward to the game and was diagnosed with cancer. Had written a note to all of the people that when they finally released the release date, he said, I don't think I'm going to be around to see this game. you know, and wrote a note to all of the, you know, on Reddit to everybody saying, hey, have a good time out there. And someone, after he passed, said, hey, if there's anyone at Bethesda that sees this, if there's any way to put this note in the game, and they took an excerpt from that note, and I was like, it just
hits you.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
really, really cool.
Good on you, Bethesda.
If you find the note from Alex Hay, that's the story behind that note. It's really nice.
Incredible.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Oh, Ed, I'm so glad you remembered that.
Yeah.
Good call.